What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Travis. Of course, this is TWA Motorsports, and today, something you guys have been asking about. So the HID to LED conversion on the Yukon. I've had so many people reach out and say, you know, how are the bulbs holding up? And so far, so good until about 2 days ago. Check out what we've got. Driver or passenger side went out, and so guys, there you have it. They lasted maybe 6 months, I think is about when I did that video. So today we're gonna be replacing them with a different model. And look, guys, the ones that I bought now have a 2-year warranty. The ones I bought before, I don't know, I threw the box away. I don't even remember, but I don't know that they had that kind of warranty. And so this company swears that these will last at least 2 years, and we're gonna see if there's any difference as far as color goes. And what I'm planning on doing is I'm gonna replace the passenger side one first, and it's the biggest pain anyway. And then we'll go to the driver's side. But before we do that, and of course, guys, I'll list the new bulbs and I will list the old ones in the description so you can make a choice on your own. Maybe the other ones, if I reached out to them, they would warranty it out. I don't know. But I will list both ones, the ones that are in it right now. So the one that you can see there, which up until 2 days ago I had no issue with, and the new ones that we're going to be using. But before we do that, I noticed when we were driving this thing the other day, there was a popping noise in the back end. And so I just want to, I've got it on the lift here, and that's why I'm going to do an oil change. You can see the oil laying down there. Guys, I generally use Mobil OW20. I've done an oil change video on this thing before, so I won't show you that. But I'm going to get it up in the air. I'm going to start the oil draining, and I'm going to check out the rear end and make sure that there's no issues as far as anything loose. Now, I will tell you guys that this thing being lowered, when I had my Suburban, we put a ton of miles on that thing lowered, never had any issues. But on the Tahoe that I had before that, so the older body style Tahoe, I did have one of the rear bolts come loose on the suspension and it started rattling around. So I'm wondering if maybe that's it, or it could be one of the mag ride shocks going bad. So either way, we're gonna pop this thing up in the air and we're gonna take a look at that rear suspension. We just wanna make sure that it's safe. So let's get it up. It's a fit for my lift. You can see that we're like, it's tough to get on the lift. As a matter of fact, I'm surprised I got it on without folding the mirrors in. It seems like it's really close. So let's get it up and take a look. Since we've got the oil draining, man, that 020 stuff drains fast. Doesn't even have to be hot. This thing's been setting overnight. I wanted to make sure that none of this stuff was loose, guys. It seemed like it was coming from this side, actually. Everything looks snug. So in the past, just so you guys know, the things that came loose on me were the shock. So this bolt right here that holds the shock extender. And then this one was a little loose as well. And you can see, I mean, we drive this thing. It's had, since I lowered it, we've probably put, geez, I don't know, maybe 30,000 miles on it, maybe even more. And I don't hear anything popping. I'm gonna go grab these sizes, which I believe are unfortunately 3/4, but then this is 21 in 21. I'm just gonna go grab them and go ahead and snug them down. The other thing I may do is I may put some grease in our sway bar end links. You see how they have the grease fittings on the end? I think I'll do that, make sure those are snug as well. But ultimately, I don't see, of course my light went out, battery went dead, but I don't see anything that's causing issue. At least nothing's like getting ready to fall out. On the last one I had, those shock bolts were down to their last thread, so that's good at least. I went through and tightened every single thing. So the upper and lower relocation bracket, the front lower control arm, just making sure everything was snug. All the bolts that hold the bracket on for the relocation. Guys, every single thing was snug. So at this point, I've got my grease gun here in my hand, and we're gonna put grease, like I said, in those sway bar end link bushings. I've got a pneumatic one. It definitely is better than the old school one, but this one's easy to get to. This side, a little bit of a resonator in the way, but we'll get to it. So let's get that done. And then at that point, I'll go ahead and close up the oil system, set this thing down, and we'll get to what we started this about, which is the lights. Now that we got those filled, we got the oil plug back in, I'm gonna show you guys kind of how this works. We need to get this thing down, but look, would I buy a bend pack lift again? Believe me, the bend pack lift works great. And I know we're talking about stuff that's not headlights, but I just wanted to show you guys, it's been great. I have no issues with it, but in order to set this thing down, you do have to have air to it. You can see that I've got air hooked up because air is what controls the locks. So the downside is you do have to have air. So I don't love that. And you have to get it up past those locks before the air will work. So what we have to do is lift it up with our button here. And so now we're past the locks. And so we have to hit the release. And then we have to release, I'm gonna try to do this holding this, but we have to hit this. You hear the locks unlock, and then we're coming down. And you have to make sure you clear the locks, because if one clears the locks, if it's not set completely level, one side will start to come down, the others will catch the lock. So I don't love the lock system, but either way, let's get the hood popped and see if we can change this bulb out. Now, the downside is the one that's bad. I'm gonna change them both, but the one that's bad is on this side. I'm gonna put it in, get that all back together, and then we're gonna look at them side by side to see what the color variance is. So I don't know, hopefully they're 6,000K like the other, and I'll show you the brand here. Like I said, I'll list it down below, but had great reviews. I've never even heard of it. Cinepercel. I'm probably saying it wrong. Anyway, guys, they say they have a 2-year warranty, 6,000K. I don't know, we'll see. You know, there's not much to it. It's plug and play. You don't have to have any weird connectors or anything like that. These HID connectors are a real pain to unplug. They have a little clip on them. You don't have a ton of room, but let's open this thing up and see if we can figure out what's going on. I went ahead and pulled it off the lift. By the way, guys, it takes 8.5 quarts. It's just easier for me to reach over the fender. And this thing's nasty under here. I need to kind of clean it, but it is our daily. But the tools that we're gonna use here have Phillips, a flathead, a smaller flathead, and then a clip removal tool. First thing we're gonna start with is this guy. If we pull this little lock up, then we can unplug it. There's a little push tab on it. And then you can see that it's hooked to the edge of the box, the air box. That's where these tools come in handy. We'll pop that out and we'll kind of lay this over to the side. In fact, I'm gonna thread it back here to the back to try to get it out of our way and then set it up top so I don't forget to plug it in. I did last time, and I got a service engine light. So after that, we're gonna use obviously our flathead to undo this clamp. You can see that there. And then there's Phillips screws in the 4 corners of this guy. And so we need to take those 4 Phillips out, and then we'll be able to push this like accordion piece back and go ahead and pull the top of the airbox out. Probably should have taken it out of that accordion piece first, because now we're struggling to get it to get past this bar. I did not take that bar loose last time. So if you leave your little accordion piece hooked up, probably take it off the end here. It's generally pretty snug. Then we can sneak this guy out of the way. We'll just set it here for now. Pull our filter out, which I replaced last time, so it still looks good. And now, guys, the box. The box is actually just setting in here on a piece of plastic. So what we need to do is kind of lift up like that. And it's a good idea. I did this last time, but it's a good idea to just clean this, vacuum this out, get all the leaves out of it. It just makes your filter last longer. So now I'm gonna take you off the tripod and show you down here what we need to get to, which will require our little plug or clip removers. The access we need is actually right here, and there is a cutout for it, but guys, I noticed it's a really tight fit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my clip removal tools, pull this plug out, and then pull this one out, which holds the wiring. It just gives you a little more room to work. This little flap will then kind of come down. And then there's another couple clips on the other side. If you can get to those, that's a good idea as well. You can see I took the top two out, and that'll probably be enough to get where we need to get. We're needing to get to the top light, which is the one that's burned out. So let's see. And a lot of this stuff, guys, is a little loose because obviously I did it before, but you can see the light now. See that guy? That's the one that's burned out. And like I said, it's a trick to get that thing out. I'm gonna see if I can get it out, and then I'll show you it out of the holster. That way you can kind of see what's involved, because I can't really get you in there to show you, but there's a little ring around the outside that you have to loosen. That will then loosen the bulb, and you can pull it out. Here's what we had before, the one that's bad. And you can see what I'm talking about the little ring. This guy actually locks it into place. You can see when it's like this, it's unlocked. So you would turn counterclockwise, but to lock it, you would turn clockwise. And so it's in the center like that. That's how you get it out of there. Now, one thing I will tell you about this bulb that I like over the other one, just looking at them. One is it has this extension, and you have next to no room down there, guys. The factory plug, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna have to fish it out of there. You just don't have any room to get that thing plugged in. So it's gonna be a struggle for me to get that plugged up. I'm hoping that I can do it without breaking any of this, because it's just a really small little pin that controls that. But let's take a look at our new lights. Let me set this down. I'm gonna have to, well, maybe I can get it open with one hand here. So these are our new ones, and they do come with gloves, guys. I recommend that you try to use those, because that's trying to keep any oil off of these. But see what I'm talking about? How these have this extension harness, which sucks in the manner that you have to feed all this into that housing, but it's really nice because you can plug it in, then put the bulb in. So we're gonna struggle here to get the bulb plugged in. It's just gonna take a little time. The other thing is, obviously we need to switch this little locking ring onto this guy so it plugs in nice and easy. I put that locking ring over on this. I've got the bulb locked in, but you can see my pain point, guys, is the other one I plugged in out here and then put the bulb in, but this, there is no way, there's just not enough lead on the factory connection to make that happen. So what we're gonna have to do is, I'm either gonna have to try to use both my pinkies to kind of wiggle that thing up into place, or I'm gonna have to have my son or my wife come out here that have smaller fingers to get in there and plug that thing in. It is a pain, but we'll get it plugged in, and then we'll put our cap back on. And what I'm going to do is, I really hate to put all this stuff back together. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna plug my mass airflow sensor in, just in case it wants to start for some reason, and then we will test it. Generally, I can turn just the switch on without having any issues, but we'll give it a test. Stand back and look at the difference side to side and see if there's any color variant. What a struggle, guys. Nobody was available to help me. So got it lined up a little bit, and then used my needle nose pliers. I really need a pair of rubber nose needle nose pliers. I was just being really careful getting that plug lined up. So now let's give it a test. I didn't hook the mass airflow sensor up because I think just the switch will work. Let's give it a try before we put everything back together on that side. It's definitely a different color. Can you guys see the difference on the garage right there? This one's a little more blue. That one's a little more day. That's a little closer to a 5K, honestly. But it's brighter, I'll tell you that. From looking at them side by side, this one is putting out quite a bit more than the other one. Perfect. So now I've just got to struggle with one more side. Looks like my light's going out up here. So let's put this back together now that we know it works. Let's turn this off before my battery goes dead. Interesting. And I don't know which one it is. I don't remember, guys. I'm not a headlight guru, but one of the lights over time loses some power, and I think it's LED. It may be the HID. As they age, they lose some lighting, so it may not be a fair comparison. But I will tell you that obviously this company has figured it out without having to use this, even though this is an extension and is kind of nice. That's not required in this kit, so that's interesting. Maybe there's some better technology coming our way, but the 2-year warranty is what sold me on these, and we'll check it out here once we get this other one in. But let's try to put our box back together here and get everything installed on this side, and then we'll switch to the other side. Got our box cleaned out. So guys, you're gonna put it up in the fender, obviously clearing all your hoses. There goes my above headlight. I have terrible luck with, this hood's aluminum. I have terrible luck with lights that charge on a battery. I just do. So once we get this where it needs to be, we have to cinch it back down in that little rubber grommet that holds it. So once you get it lined up in the fender here, it should automatically fall into that area, and we'll push it down, make sure it's snug, and then we're ready to put our filter back in and the top of our box with the 4 little Phillips screws that hold it in. Aside from the 4 screws in the corner, make sure you get your mass airflow sensor plugged back in, lock push back down, flathead tightened up with this back on, and then I did put my clip back there in the corner. So we're good on this side. Let's swap to the other side, which is a little easier because, as you can see, guys, we have a ton of access right here. Check it out. That's all we had to remove to get to this one. I wish it was a little easier, but I get it. You got to put an air box in there. So let's get the other one installed, and it'll be the same struggle, you know, as far as getting that plugged in, but hopefully we'll get it accomplished. And I won't show you guys the struggle with that. Let's undo that clip, that little ring, the locking ring around the outside, get this one unplugged and out, and the new one in. Before I actually swap the other one out, I did want to do this. I've got the light turned off in the shop. It's still obviously daylight outside, but this one is brighter. But another thing I was noticing is I don't know, maybe it's not brighter. It seems about the same. I'm not going to take you guys out on a drive with these because we're not doing really a side-by-side comparison, but hopefully you guys can see the color variation. But here's what I noticed. Listen to the fan in this one. You guys hear that? Now listen over here. This fan is like whisper quiet. So that's interesting. Now, does that mean that one doesn't have as strong a fan? I don't know. Or maybe it's this one like at the end of its life, but they've always been kind of loud. It's just interesting. I just think we're getting to that point where technology is come a long way. Now I can hear this fan running, but it's nowhere near as loud. So either way, I just want to show you guys that since got the light off. I wanted to turn the light off and show you the difference. But let's get this other one in. Not really sure why, but the driver's side has about another 6 inches of lead on it. I should have showed you guys that, but you don't have to struggle plugging it in. But we've got both of them in now. Let's see. You just heard how loud they were. Let's listen now. I mean, you can hear them, but nothing like the other ones. And this one, what? I wish they'd have gave more lead on the side that's harder to get to with all the stuff in the way then, but either way, that one was plug and play. And look, this is a true plug and play HID to LED. Now, look, there's gonna be some people out there that say, oh, HIDs are better. Maybe they are, but guys, look, I can tell you without a doubt, with my front windshield tinted at 35%, this is a brighter headlight than the factory headlight. No ifs, ands, or buts. So you do what you want. Some people out there, we originally, if you guys remember back when we started this deal, I tried an aftermarket set of HID replacements that were supposed to be brighter. One of them burned out within the first 2 days. Then we went to the LEDs. They lasted 6 months. Time will tell on these, but anyway, we're all finished up. I think that that's ultimately it, guys. I don't really have anything else on this thing. I didn't show you the oil change, but we got the oil changed. We obviously got the headlights replaced, and then we checked out the squeaks in the back end, gave a little grease to all the components in the back, or at least just the sway bar bushings. But let's see how these last. I will let you guys know. Like I said, I will list this in the description down below. Thank you for all those guys that hit me up and asked me. I wish that there was a way to go back and change that video. I'll try to go back and post a link to it in the description down below, and then I'll try to post in that video, the old video, a link to this one so you can see, you know, how long they actually lasted. But if you guys did enjoy this video, please guys, like always, smash that thumbs up button. If you are not subscribed, guys, go down there, hit that subscribe button. Of course, ring the bell icon. That notifies you every time we drop a new video. And stay tuned to see what we work on next.